Most financial advice repeats the exact same rule. Max out your 401k. Take as much money as you can and lock it away for retirement. So you follow the instructions, you increase your contribution percentage, and you watch your take-home pay shrink every 2 weeks. You skip dinners out, you delay that vacation, you deny what you want, convinced it is the responsible way to handle your money. But what if putting every available dollar into a 401k is actually slowing down your overall financial progress? I know that contradicts the onboarding sessions at work, the retirement calculators you find online, and the experts who insist you should contribute the absolute maximum. The 401k itself is an excellent retirement tool, but treating it as the only acceptable destination for all of your savings can create hidden vulnerabilities in the rest of your financial life. Take a saver named Alex. For 2 years straight, Alex maxed out a 401k while keeping a high-interest credit card balance on the side. Alex thought the responsible choice was securing retirement and taking the immediate tax deduction from the 401k contributions, assuming those benefits easily outweighed the cost of holding the debt. This chart shows the harsh mathematical reality, comparing 401k tax savings against the cost of credit card interest. The monthly interest charges Alex paid were significantly larger. That aggressive interest completely swallowed the tax method, which happens when you blindly apply standard retirement advice. When you pay more money to a bank in interest than you save the government in taxes, you're paying a steep penalty for funding your priorities out of order. There is exactly one universally correct starting point for your extra dollars: securing your employer 401k match. A match is an arrangement where your company contributes money to your retirement account alongside yours. You should view this as a core part of your total compensation package, because ignoring it means leaving part of your salary on the table. This flowchart illustrates exactly how that match functions as an immediate return on your investment. Before the stock market even has a chance to fluctuate, your initial contribution instantly doubles in volume. Fully capturing that employer match is one of the rare times in personal finance where you get a guaranteed benefit without having to navigate complex trade-offs. Once that employer match is secured, the rules change. The destination of the very next dollar you save depends entirely on what else is happening in your life. The first vulnerability to check for is high-interest debt. If a loan is charging you 20%, those costs are mathematically outpacing any average market return you could expect to earn inside the 401k. The second major vulnerability is a lack of liquid emergency savings. You need accessible cash on hand to act as a financial shock absorber. Without that cash buffer, a single unexpected medical bill or car repair can force you into debt, or worse, force you to pull money out of your retirement account to cover the cost. This flow diagram demonstrates the damage of pulling from a retirement account early. An unexpected expense forces a withdrawal, triggering severe tax penalties and fees that sequentially destroy a massive chunk of the original savings. You also have to evaluate your current and future tax brackets. A tax bracket is simply the percentage of your income you owe to the government. If you expect to be in a higher tax bracket later in your career, a different type of account might save you more over time. Relentlessly maxing out a single retirement account while ignoring expensive loans or a missing cash buffer leaves your financial life quietly leaking capital. You can escape this trap by abandoning the single destination approach and building a systematic financial pipeline that routes your dollars based on strict priority. This diagram lays out the correct sequential flow. First, secure the employer match. Next, divert funds to neutralize high-interest debt. Then, fill an emergency cash reservoir. And finally, accelerate retirement funding. This sequence ensures emergencies cannot drain your savings. Now that you know the order of operations, we need to look closely at how the 401k actually functions under the hood. When you put money into a traditional 401k, those funds generally come out of your paycheck before the government applies federal income taxes. Take this example of a $60,000 annual salary. If you contribute $5,000 to your 401k, your taxable income for the year drops to $55,000. Because you are taxed on a smaller number, you get a current year tax break. This leaves you with more take-home pay today than if you had saved that exact same amount in a regular taxable account. That feels like a permanent victory, but it is actually a trade-off. You are not avoiding those taxes, you are simply delaying them. When you finally pull that money out in retirement decades down the line, the bill comes due. You generally have to pay standard income tax on whatever you withdraw. The 401k is a strategic deferral system. It only works if you time that delay correctly against your lifetime earning curve. The entire theory behind this tax delay relies on a single premise, that you will be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. This split-screen diagram compares two different tax rate scenarios. On the left, we see the ideal setup for a traditional 401k. If you are a high earner right now, you skip taxes at today's peak rates and pay them later when your retirement income is lower. But look at the right side. If you are early in your career and earning less than you expect to make in the future, the math flips. You might save on taxes today at a very low rate, only to pay them back later at a much higher one. In that specific case, a Roth option, where you pay taxes up front at your current low rate, shields your money so qualified withdrawals come out completely tax-free later. Choosing between these options requires placing a calculated strategic bet on the trajectory of your entire career's income. Beyond taxes, there is a second major architectural layer to understand: the strict rules governing when you can actually touch this money. Every dollar you put in is essentially locked behind a vault door until you reach age 59 and a half. If you break that lock early, you trigger a dual punishment. You will likely owe a severe penalty fee stacked right on top of your regular income taxes. This bar chart illustrates a very common yet incredibly fragile financial setup: aggressively maxing out a 401k contribution while keeping absolutely zero liquid emergency savings. The moment an unexpected crisis hits, the trap springs. You are forced to either take on high-interest debt to cover the expense, or break open the retirement account and absorb the massive penalty losses. Locking away all your cash without building a safety net first means your primary wealth tool becomes your biggest liability the moment a crisis hits. There is one specific feature that offsets these risks by offering an immediate, guaranteed return: the employer match. When a company offers a match, they add extra, complementary money directly into your retirement balance based on how much you contribute. If you fail to contribute enough to capture that full match, you are actively leaving a portion of your total compensation on the table. To see how the match fits into your broader life, look at this diagram showing a row of 4 buckets: the 401k, an emergency fund, high-interest debt, and other investments. Every paycheck you receive represents a strictly limited amount of water. You have to decide exactly how to pour it. If you dump that entire limited stream into the 401k bucket, your emergency fund remains bone dry, and your high-interest debt bucket rapidly overflows. Your retirement account might look incredibly successful, but your overall financial structure is highly exposed. But if we rewind and distribute that liquid strategically, filling the emergency and debt buckets first, the entire foundation stabilizes. True financial architecture requires filling your buckets in an exact, logical sequence. Now that you see how the sequence protects your foundation, let me show you what standard advice you need to stop following immediately. You already know how a 401k works, and you are putting money away because you want it working harder for you. But the financial habits that feel the most responsible in the present moment are often the ones that become the most expensive over time. We trust the feeling of being disciplined. Putting money away feels productive, so we assume we are doing the right thing. But that emotional comfort can blind us to the mathematical reality of how wealth actually behaves when it is locked away blindly. The first major mistake is maxing out your retirement contributions while high-interest debt is quietly piling up in the background. Look at this chart comparing standard returns against debt costs. Your 401k grows steadily over time, shown by the teal bar, but that growth competes with the aggressively compounding cost of credit card interest on the right. In most cases, the debt wins. People often fall into the trap of mental accounting. They put retirement savings into a good bucket and debt into a bad bucket, treating them as separate issues. But your net worth is entirely connected. Every dollar you send to your 401k beyond your employer's match is a dollar that must be redirected to eliminating that expensive debt instead. The second mistake sneaks up on people, treating those retirement contributions as a substitute for actual liquid emergency savings. You might be putting thousands away every year, but if your savings account is sitting at zero, a single unexpected medical bill, a car repair, or sudden job change triggers a cascade effect. You are instantly forced to either charge the expense to a credit card and pay steep interest, or pull from your 401k early, facing penalties. Both options cost you money you did not need to lose. Locking up all your available cash in a restricted account leaves you without a financial cushion. It creates extreme financial fragility, entirely disguised as discipline. The third mistake happens entirely behind the scenes, ignoring the specific expense ratios and internal fees inside your employer's plan. Expense ratios are the annual fees charged by mutual funds or exchange-traded funds to cover their management and operating costs. This multi-decade chart shows exactly how much those fees matter. Two investment trajectories start out identically, but over 30 years, the microscopic difference between a low-cost fund and a high-cost fund compounds. The high-fee trajectory diverges downward, creating a massive missing wedge of wealth that is simply lost to plan providers. If your employer's plan charges noticeably more than what you could find on the open market, you need to know when to stop. Once you capture the full employer match, redirecting extra contributions into an independent IRA can secure lower costs and recover that missing wedge. The fourth mistake is blindly accepting the employer's default option, which is usually the traditional 401k, without ever comparing it to the Roth alternative. The core mechanics of these two choices dictate when you owe the government. With a traditional plan, you skip taxes today, but pay them on your withdrawals in retirement. A Roth plan flips the timeline. You pay taxes up front on the money you contribute, but all qualified withdrawals come out entirely tax-free later. If you are an early career professional sitting in a lower tax bracket today, but you expect significant income growth, paying the taxes now through a Roth option locks in your lower rate and shields your future growth. Treating your 401k as a set-and-forget default mechanism ensures your wealth is subjected to silent attrition through invisible fees and unoptimized tax brackets. Finally, the fifth mistake is treating the 401k as the singular financial priority in your life. When retirement hoarding takes over, critical intermediate goals are neglected. Money is not set aside for a home down payment. There is no taxable investment account to bridge the gap if you want to access funds before age 59 and a half, and there is no capital left to invest in your own immediate career growth or skills. Take a look at this timeline mapping out short, mid, and long-term financial stages. Retirement is the longest horizon, but if a person drops all their financial weight onto that far end, it violently tilts the timeline, entirely destabilizing the earlier stages of their life. Sacrificing your short and medium-term resilience strictly to feed the longest time horizon leaves you with a brittle financial path. It restricts your life flexibility and limits your options today. These 5 habits all stem from a single flawed belief: the assumption that a higher volume of savings automatically equals better financial outcomes. The reality is that where you place your money and exactly how you allocate it matters just as much as the total volume you save. True financial resilience is not achieved by overfeeding one monolithic retirement account. It is built by funding a layered, proportional system across multiple timelines so that your money is ready whenever you actually need it. Now that we know what to stop doing, we can look at exactly how to restructure that equation. Here is the step-by-step framework for allocating your capital perfectly. You know how the 401k works, and you know what financial habits to drop. Now we need to outline exactly what you need to start doing with your money, step by step. Scattered financial inputs transform into a structured blueprint. Applying a chronological order to money management builds a stronger position and strips out wasted dollars. Treat this 7-step blueprint as a flexible framework. Your personal situation might call for adjustments, but by sequencing your financial priorities correctly, you take a fragile, reactive budget and turn it into a waste-proof, proactive base. Step 1 is capturing the full employer match. If your workplace offers a 401k, which is a company-sponsored retirement savings plan, and matches your contributions, set up payroll deductions to grab that money automatically. You secure the extra capital, and because it happens before the paycheck hits your bank account, you never even miss it. This gauge illustrates step 2, building a small starter emergency fund. Before pouring extra cash into retirement, you need enough money sitting in a high-yield savings account, which is simply a deposit account that pays interest rates significantly higher than the national average, to absorb a modest surprise. That buffer takes the hit, so you don't have to reach for a credit card. Step 3 targets your liabilities. This chart shows debts ranked from the highest interest rate down to the lowest. You list your balances exactly like this, then direct all your extra cash flow to the most expensive one first, while maintaining minimum payments on the rest. The math here is highly efficient. Every single dollar of high-interest debt you eliminate acts exactly like a guaranteed return equal to that specific interest rate. Clearing those balances immediately frees up the monthly cash flow previously consumed by interest charges. At this stage, you are capturing extra money from your employer. You hold a cash buffer against surprises, and expensive debt is erased. You have stopped your money from pulling you backward. Step 4 asks you to choose between a Roth and a traditional setup for your additional retirement contributions. A Roth account requires you to pay taxes on the money now in exchange for tax-free growth, while a traditional account gives you a tax break today but taxes your withdrawals later. This comparative timeline chart models the core tax logic. A Roth option often makes sense if you expect to earn more in the future and anticipate a higher future tax rate. Conversely, if you are currently in your peak earning years, deferring those taxes with a traditional account usually provides the maximum benefit. Once that retirement strategy is flowing, step 5 is expanding your starter emergency fund into a full cushion. Depending on how stable your income feels, you want to save enough cash to cover 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Keeping this larger fund in that highly accessible, high-yield savings account serves a specific purpose. It explicitly protects your retirement investments. If a major life event happens, you draw from the cash savings instead of taking early withdrawal penalties from your portfolio. By correctly anticipating your tax situation and finalizing a multi-month cash cushion, you build a comprehensive, impenetrable safety net directly beneath your long-term investments. Your short-term financial security is now completely stable. That brings us to step 6, increasing your retirement contributions toward the annual maximum limit. These comparative pie charts project why you must evaluate your plan's fees. If your 401k plan has noticeably high administrative costs, you can split your additional contributions into a low-cost IRA. An IRA, or individual retirement account, is a tax-advantaged investing tool you open on your own, independent of an employer. Routing your money here ensures you retain your capital rather than losing it to fee drag. Step 7 activates once your retirement savings and emergency funds are healthy, opening a regular taxable brokerage account. A standard brokerage account gives you access to simple, low-cost index funds. An index fund is a portfolio of assets designed to passively track the performance of a specific financial market. Using these funds provides you with invested capital for medium-term goals, like buying a home or changing careers, without the age 59.5 restriction of a retirement account. Pushing past those locked retirement limits into a taxable account unlocks ultimate financial flexibility. You now have capital working for you across short, medium, and long-term horizons simultaneously. Here is the bottom line. Maxing out a 401k is an excellent target, but it is rarely the correct next step for most people. The smartest move you can make is funding your financial priorities in a strict sequence. You protect the present, and then you build the future. This master sequential dashboard maps out that exact path. Capture your employer match first. Build the starter cash buffer, eliminate your high-interest debt, expand your retirement savings, and finally, start investing beyond retirement. If this helped clarify exactly where your dollar should go next, hit the like button. And if you know someone who is stretching their budget to max out their retirement accounts without looking at the full picture, share this video with them. Drop down to the comments and type match or debt to let me know which step you are currently tackling. I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so subscribe to keep building a waste-proof wealth strategy for the long term. I will see you in the next one.